kuna nyama, kuna ngozi yake bado huwa waweza tengeneza viatu, mbolea yake, manure yake, mkojo yake, urine pia ina faida. Ni dawa kwa mimea na bado ni mbolea.
Stevia inasaidia sana your brain health ama memory health.
Hii drips iko na shimo. Hii drips ni ya 10 cm kutoka kwingine hadi kwingine ni 10 cm. So huwa tunawaelezea, tunawaambia tunataka kila shimo ipate kitunguu.
Upanzi wa vitunguu huanza kwenye nasari, ambapo mkulima huchagua sehemu maalum ya shamba yenye mchanga unaoweza kusaidia ukuaji wa miche ya vitunguu.
So stevia inasaidia kurejuvenate the follicle organ. 50 grams ni sawa na about 7 kgs za conventional sugar.
Usikose kutazama Kilimo Hai kila Jumanne kuanzia saa 2 usiku ili ujifunze mengi kuhusu kilimo biashara na faida zake. Papa hapa Al Huda TV.
Kusafisha tray zako za kubeka na kuoka, changanya maji nusu kikombe na baking soda nusu kikombe, kisha paka kwenye tray na uache ikae kwa muda wa saa 1, alafu sugua na sponge au brush.
Assalamu Alykuim wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Amal Latiff and I'm your host today for NASAHA kwa UMMA. I hope you are having a lovely Thursday, and today we have a very lovely topic on is education a destination or a journey. Today our guest is someone that you know of already, and I will give him a chance to introduce himself, but you already know who he is. And he will tell us about his life story and tell us about his life as an academic, and he will inform us better on whether education is a journey or a destination. Naam, Daktari.
Yes, thank you so much, Sister Amal Latiff, and thank you so much, viewers, for joining us today. Today I've taken the back seat because as they say in Swahili, mganga hajigangi, but I could not tell my story without someone like Amal being here to go with it. My name is Dr. Sheikh Lawyer Hasan Kinyua, and I'm a lecturer at the University of Nairobi, and I'm also a host at this Noble Television. I'm also a mentor in different organizations, but also more important, I lecture at University of Nairobi and also other 4 universities where she studies actually at Riara University. I'm a lecturer there, at Tangaza University and Machakos University. But apart from, besides lecturing, I also do consultancy for many organizations globally and internationally and also locally. And I also have another program at ICRA FM, which began in the year 2000 up to date, Jifunze Lugha Kiarabu. I think that's the brief I can tell the viewers about me.
Yes. So, tell us a brief of who you are. Who is Dr. Hasan Kinyua? If you are given the chance to explain, who is Dr. Hasan Kinyua? Dr.
Hasan Kinyua is a young academician who was born in Embu, and in fact was born in Nairobi, then raised in Embu, and around the year 1993 he traveled to Malindi to go and seek more knowledge, and that is how he landed himself in Al-Ghanaw Islamia, Mambrui. He studied in Mambrui from the year 93 because he used to go to, every time they closed school, when he finished class 8, he went to Bambrui for some brief time, then he came back. So every school holiday, he could try and rush there. But he did it only once because he studied Form 1 for only one term, and that was third term. And then Form 2, he studied for only 2 weeks.
Wow.
So that is his history. And he dropped because he lost his parents when he was young. He was being brought up by the grandmother, who unfortunately also passed on some years back. So that has been the journey. So he started to become an imam or maalim, and that's how he is. And then after finishing Mambrui in the year 2000, he worked there. He was supposed to serve like 2 years, but he couldn't serve the 2 years. He was allowed to leave and go serve. So he served as an imam and maalim in Embu for a short time. Then he came and served in Imtiaz Ali Mosque also for a brief time. And then he also served at Langata Mosque. And then after that, he served in Rongai Mosque in Nakuru, and then after Nakuru he came back to Nairobi at Kitisuru also for a short time because of some challenges which he encountered there. That is when he decided to go back to school, and Alhamdulillah, we are talking of him dropping out of school in the year 1994. After learning only 2 weeks in Form 2,
yeah.
And he stayed for 10 years, and after 10 years, he decided why not go back to school. So he tried to get schools everywhere, but he couldn't get. But Alhamdulillah, Young Men Christian Association, a school located at Shauri Moyo, allowed him to sit for exams, book exams in their school, and that's how he sat for KCSE without learning like other children. Alhamdulillah, he passed and got good grades to go to university.
So you mean umeingia Form 1 ukaingia Form 2 2 weeks, uka drop out for almost a period of 10 years, and then you went and did KCSE?
Yes. Form 1 nilisoma third term peke yake kwa sababu zamani ilikuwa ukiitwa shule kama saizi. Ukiitwa shule nafasi yako ipeanwi mpaka third term. Third term isipokuja nafasi inapeanwa. Kwa hivyo wazazi wangu, nyanyangu walijitahidi sana, kanipeleka hiyo shule third term kwa vitu vya kuzazimwa. Sababu ilikuwa zamani unapeleka jembe, panga, vitu mingi. Aliomba hizo vitu zote ndio niweze kuingia shule navyo. Na nakumbuka sana, Mungu amsamehe nyanyangu.
Amin.
Aliponiingiza shule, kwa hizo vitu zilikuwa zinaangaliwa. Ilikuwa tumekubaliana nikimaliza kuangaliwa nazitia kwa mfuko alafu arudi nazo nyumbani sababu ni za watu. That's how I joined Form 1 in Chicago Boys High School, but I stayed there for only third term. Hiyo nikiingia kukawa na mgomo, tukafukuzwa. Hiyo third term. And then kwa hivyo sikusoma, nilisema kama only 2-3 weeks peke yake, kukawa na mgomo mkubwa sana kule, alafu tukaondoka. I remember walking for 35 kilometers from Chicago to Embu because I didn't even have bus fare.
Yeah.
And we were with some young men there. Then Form 2 tukafungua. After 2 weeks tukafukuzwa kwa sababu ya school fees. That was the last time I saw class.
So like in your high school journey you spent almost 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
So a month and a week.
Yes, only 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when it comes to like the challenges that you encountered through your educational journey, especially when it comes to secondary, how did you tackle these challenges, and how did you even have like the drive to go back to high school? Why was education such an important thing for you, despite you already having like the Islamic version of education? And how did the Islamic version of education help you?
Yes, I must remember and remind the viewers that I attended an interview to become an imam in one mosque in Nairobi. I'll not mention the name. And when I attended the interview, everyone in the interview, when I entered, they said, we know this young man. And we have heard him because that time I used to appear in Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, KBC, Uliza Ujibiwe. And when I used to appear there, everyone could see me. And I was also having my Arabic lessons at Ikra FM. So everyone who had my name, they had not seen me. But when I entered the interview and said, I am Hasan Kinyua, oh, you are the one who comes to radio? I said, yes. And then 3 of them also said this is a young man we see in KBC every Friday. So on the issue of academics, they didn't ask me any questions. They said, we cannot interview you.
Yeah.
We cannot interview you on the same. The only thing we want to know from you, how much do you want as your salary? I said I want 10,000 Kenya shillings. I remember one person, and the interview was in mosque. Unfortunately,
what year was this when you asked for the 10,000?
That must be around the year 2001, 2002.
10,000 was a lot of money at the time.
No, it was not a lot of money.
Okay.
Because many people are paid the same amount. Many 10,000 was salary. 10,000, you can say it's a salary of our people who guard us, the guards. 10,000 is a salary of guards.
Yeah.
10 salary can be salary of a person who has just joined school to become a UT, untrained teacher in many situations. So when I was asking the money, I knew that I'll be given because this was a posh place. It is these locations of Langata. And as we know, Langata is amongst the middle class place. And you see everyone who has come for this interview came with their car. So I could see a Benz parked there, I could see a Prado. So I knew these people will afford to give me 10,000. But everyone now started asking, why 10,000? Now that was the reality I saw in this world, and someone told me, if you wanted that money, you could have gone to school.
Wow.
He told me in the interview, if you wanted that money, you could have gone to school like other people, not madrasa. A Muslim. That day, I cried in the mosque there. I cried because he even used some vulgar language you cannot use in television. He used some vulgar language. In Kiswahili sometimes people tell you unaruka kutoka kwenye kitu fulani unaingia kwa kifulani. Alisema hivyo msikitini. Ikaniuma. Why should someone who is serving as a committee member utter some of these words?
And you had just asked for 10,000.
10,000.
Yeah.
They told me, at the end of the day, they told me, if you wanted that money, you could have gone to school, not to madrasa. So that was a reality. So I asked myself, how much? I asked them, then how much are you offering? They told me, we'll offer Kenya shillings 3,000. You want, you take it. You don't want, you leave.
Wow.
And you see, in Embu, I was paid 3,000 Kenya shillings.
Yeah.
In the other mosque, I was being paid when there is money.
Wow.
So I realized now I've come to Nairobi in greener pastures, then I'm paid 3,000 again.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. But because, unfortunately, the challenge I did, and which is a lesson I learned, I had already given a notice of a notice from in the other place. So what you realize is that now I cannot go back there.
Yeah.
So I have to remain here.
Yeah.
I learned a lesson that never leave a job
before you get
another one and you get confirmed.
Yeah.
So I took the job, and I remember I was working with one Sheikh Said. I don't know where he is actually currently. Sheikh Said was a very good person. What he used to do, he used to get his salary and then he added me some money.
MashaAllah.
He added me because I was earning 3,000, so he was adding 4,000 so that I get 7,000. So that is how I realized that the journey of becoming an imam and a ma'alim without having school qualification is not easy.
It's not an easy job.
I cried that day in the mosque. I cried, and they asked me, why are you crying? I didn't tell them anything because I feared that if I say anything now, if these people, this is the language they're using, tomorrow I will not find myself here. So I persevered. Tomorrow morning, I began the journey of looking for a school. That day, I took that challenge, what they told me, to be a lesson. So that's how it happened. I went, tried to get school, I couldn't get, but fortunately, I got a Christian school. They told me there's no problem, there's a Ngumbaro here. So I started in Ngumbaro. They told me there's a Ngumbaro here where you can be joining other elders and you'll be learning at night. And sometimes near the exams, they could allow us to go even during the day for mathematics and the rest. That's how I sat for my KCSE.
And how long did you learn? How long was your learning period?
No, my learning period was like only 5 months.
Wow. Because
you see, the committee was very strict. If any committee member comes for Salatul Dhuhr and they don't find you, you have no excuse. They gave me a warning. They told me, we employed you here not to go and do other things. I try to tell them that, if I say that I've gone back to school, they could not take it lightly. So I could rush sometimes in the morning after Fajr. I could rush to Shaul Moyo, study like 2-3 hours. Then by 11 sharp, I could leave again because I was connecting the matatu from Shaul Moyo to town and from town to Langata. And that's how I learned for 5 months. I remember the only month which I studied almost the entire month completely was the month which KCSE was around. That was October. Around October. October, the year 2003. That is when now I tried to talk to Ustad Saeed. I told him, Ustad, please allow me to take a leave, not leave, but leave for Salatul Dhuhr. No. So that at least for Salatul Dhuhr I will not be coming. So I was now studying from at least 8 a.m. up to around now 3 p.m. Yeah. So I have to go and now release him for us. He'll just lead prayers for me for Dhuhr, and then he leave. And that's the only month I studied, Alhamdulillah. When I started from Kaises, people are asking me, what are you doing? I told them I'm going to school. And some of them were mocking at me. They were telling me, Yani, you want to tell us people have gone to school from 1 to Form 4 at where you're telling us you are now trying to learn for exams. I told them, Allah knows best. Allah knows best. And what I remembered, Allah says in the Holy Quran, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. That whoever fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah provide for him in ways that he doesn't even understand. And then there is another verse which says that whoever fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah teaches that person things he doesn't know. And I believe that if I just fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, keep off evil, one day I will make it. And I thank Allah. When I started from KCSE, results were out, I got grace to go to university. MashaAllah. Yes.
Kweli kadri ya Mwenyezi Mungu.
Yes.
Hawezi ipinga. On your screens right now you will see our number displayed, 0703-239-943. You can call in and you can ask Dr. Hasan Kinyua anything, or you can even congratulate him for his journey, because going back to school 10 years after you had no ability to go back to school is someone that you see has drive and has ambition, and they know what they were doing. And we are also live on Facebook, on Al Huda Facebook, and Hasan Omari. Yes. So Dr. Kinyua, who are the actors or agents involved in your journey? I'm sure you weren't able to do this alone. Like you mentioned, your fellow Imam at the Langata Mosque who helped you. Who else was in your journey? Who helped you?
For sure, I always thank the committee members of that mosque. I will not mention the mosque here, but they know themselves, because if not the challenge they posed on me, I could not be the person I am. I thrive on challenges. I always tell people, if I go anywhere and there are no challenges, I don't like that place. And that's why anywhere I go and I get challenges, then I stick to that place and try to show people who are trying to bring challenges to me that my friend, this is not the right person you are joking with. So I thank that committee, and especially the person who said so. That person, after some years, came to a school somewhere in Regional Center of Tourism and Foreign Languages, where I was now teaching Arabic language. Because after finishing Form 4, something told me, why don't you go to schools in town and ask for position to teach Arabic language? And I walked from one school to another. I walked to 17 schools in town. And I thank God I got 2 schools which allowed me to teach them. One of them was Regional Center for Tourism and Foreign Languages, which I was being paid 1,500 Kenya shillings per month. And and also Wami College. Wami College was paying me as per commission. But as we are talking about this journey you're asking me, I will talk of 4 people. Of course, my grandmother, may God rest her and grant her Jannah, together with Sayyidina Khadija Kubra. She played a great role, but she couldn't make it. When I was in Form 1, when I got the certificate, the calling to Form 1, the admission letter, she used to go to everyone to ask for donations, but she couldn't get. So you see, she tried, but she did what she could. And you know, by that time she was very old, and she had many other grandchildren. That's the first person. The second person I must mention is Ustad Muhammad Sharif Said Al-Bith. He used to say that one day this young man looks like he'll become DC. For him, the word he used to call me every time is DC. We talk about DC because he saw how I liked speaking English sometimes, and I was the translator. When I was in Mambrui, when people came from other countries, because Mambrui, many America, from UK and other places who came to visit him and see what people are doing, they could sometimes tell me, come and translate for us.
Yeah.
And you see, my English was very broken, but at least I was amongst the best, you know, at that time. The third person I must thank is Ustad Muhammad Said Al-Khatwat. Ustad Muhammad Said Al-Khatwat was our teacher in Embu, and when I was leaving school, I was crying. He tried to get some assistance for me, but he couldn't. He told me, you go back to madrasa. One day, inshallah, you'll get what you're looking for in school. Wallahi, that's what he told me. And I took his advice, went to Mambrui, studied for those years, 7 years, and taught for 1 year. And after finishing school, that's when I went back. The third person who highly assisted me was Mr. Rajab Ngovo. Mr. Rajab Ngovo was working at a Sharia house. So when I walked to more than 20 schools and people could admit me, you know, that's the time terrorism had already begun in Kenya. The year 2001, 2002, that was the peak of terrorism in Kenya. Many schools were saying that we can't take anyone who have studied in a madrasa. You will come and bring terrorism in our school. That was the language. They were not lying to me. And you know, unfortunately or fortunately, those were times when I could put on kanzu when I'm eating, when I'm swimming, when I'm sleeping, everywhere. I could, that time, those time, I remember when I joined Mambrui in the year 1994, now properly, up to 2000, I never put any other clothes apart from kanzu and kikoi. So the time I was going to those schools, I was going with my kanzu and kikoi. They look at a person with kanzu and kikoi, this is just a terrorist in a way. And they just tell me. So I asked myself, what do I do? I went to Nyayo House now. Because someone told me, you go back to Nyayo House and tell them to assist you get a school. When I went there, Brother Rajab Ngovo, I didn't know him. He was just an officer there. I said, someone told me, this is a Muslim, because he was putting a kofia, and then someone told me, talk to him. They feared him because he was at least the head. So I said, Sheikh Rajab, Assalamu Alykuim, you know, I explained to him my problem. He told me, you are Hasan Kinyua, yes. May I know you? I'm your student. I asked him, how are you? How do I teach you? He told me via radio.
Oh, Ikra.
He remembered everything. Even he told me yesterday, because that was Monday, yesterday this is what you taught. So I started now feeling at least at home. And then he asked me, you want to start from? I told him from 1.
No.
He told me it will be very difficult for any school to admit you from Form 1 to Form 4.
Sorry to cut you short. There is a phone call. Hello, Al Huda TV. Hello. Al Huda TV. Hello. Assalamu Alykuim. Al Huda TV. Assalamu Alykuim. We have lost the caller. Yes, you can continue.
Thank you. So Sheikh Rajab advised me one thing. He told me, instead of pushing yourself, not getting schools, I will send you to one school in Shorimoyo.
No.
You go there. No. The school has 2 setups.
No.
The first setup is, it's Ngumbaro, totally. But there are those students who study from morning to evening, regular. But that school is a little bit flexible for people who are working. And that's how now I went to Ideal Tutorial Center at YMCA at Kachorimoyo. I met Mr. Kangeve. He was the principal. And then when he met me, he said me, young man, you look that you are very bright. So what you do, instead of coming to Form 2 with the others, why don't you try Form 4?
No.
He told me, why don't you try Form 4? And he asked me, what do you do? I said, I'm an imam. He told me, if you're an imam, you know how to speak, you know how to control people. you better try Form 4. If you fail, next year you now begin Form 3 to Form 4.
No.
But you'll have tried. So I agreed, and I called Sheikh Rajab, and I thanked him for connecting me with a person who could listen to me.
Sorry to cut you short again. There's
Thank
one
you.
call. Assalamu Alykuim Al-Huda TV. Assalamu Alykuim Al-Huda TV. Ametoweka huyo, you can continue.
Hakuna shida. No. So that's how I began my journey. So Mr. Kangeve, another person I must thank is Sharif Abdurrahman Jamalulel, who lives in Pangani. He was so instrumental in telling me you must go back to school. Because the day I went for interview, he asked me how it was. I told him, and I was crying when I was calling him. I told him, you know, I've gone there. They told me if you wanted good salary, you could have gone back to school, not madrasa. He told me, don't worry, my son. You go back to school, and you'll go back to school. Find a school. So he pushed me to go back to school. Now, the only person now kept on asking me every day, have you got a school, is him. Because he's now the only person who knows the journey now. Every day he could call me. For almost 10 days, I told him I've not gotten any school. 10 days, walking from one school to the other, one school to the other. You know, you go to a school, you have to wait for the principal maybe for 3 hours or 4 hours, then you walk to another school, and that's how I stayed for many years, many days without getting a school. So when I got now this school in Shaurimoyo, he was so happy. So those are people I must thank very much in that journey now before going to university. Because now the journey going to university now, I involved 2 more people. That is my uncle, Mohammed Sheba, who is a lawyer, who promised to assist me, and also Sheikh Salim Abakar Bajabir. He was so instrumental, but Mzee Salim Bajabir thought that I was joking. When I went to his office, and I told him, Mzee, nimekuja hapa, unisaidie kwenda university, he looked at me from top to bottom 3 times. And you know, that time I was putting on, as I told you, kanzu, kikoi, and sometimes I could carry a bokora. You know the religion. And niko na viatu, viko na vumbi, viatu open. So Mzee could look at me from up to bottom. And one thing I remember, and I know maybe he forgot, aliniuliza, Hasan Kinyua, wewe ni mamu wetu, twakuonaga ukitoka misikitini na wapi? Ulienda skuli lini? He asked me. I told him, Mzee, nimeenda skuli mwaka mzima, nimejikaza. And then he asked me, now what do you want? I told him, what I want is now money or fees to go to school. When Mzee asked me that, I told him, he asked me, then we don't assist people who don't assist themselves. That's what he told me. Akaniambia una pesa ngapi? Nikamwambia mimi Mzee na 30,000. You know, I thought that I am just telling him the story. He told me, go and bring the 30,000, then we talk from there. I don't have 30,000. Well, wallahi, Allah knows I didn't have 30,000. So he told me, go and bring the 30,000. I think psychologically he knew, maybe he thought I was lying. You know, 2 ways. He thought maybe, not him alone, because I had approached many people before him, more than 10 people before him. And I must remember Professor Abdul Ghafur al-Busaidi, actually. I must remember him and thank him. He wrote a letter to Salim Abakar Bajabir, because I went to him also to seek assistance. He told me, you know, sisi maprofesa, watu fikituna pesa, batuna pesa, but go to Salim Abakar Bajabir in Pepe Flamis and give him this letter. So I took the letter to Salim Abakar Bajabir, and that's how he read the letter, looked at me, and he asked me, well, you know, it is him and many other people thought that I was joking. Many people thought I was joking. In fact, some of my family members say that Hasan Kinyua na majini siku hizi. And they asked if our children have been in school from Form 1 to Form 4, and only 2 of them have managed to go to university. How can he tell us that he only learned for 2 weeks, 3 weeks in Form 1, 2 weeks in Form 2, then he stayed 10 years out, then he sat for KCSE and got grades to university. Many people thought, there were many stories in the streets. And some people were saying that nimenunua certificate Kirinyaga Road, those people were working together. So when Professor wrote me a letter, Professor knew me, and he understood that I cannot lie, because he took everything and I attached even the transcript. So Mzee told me to look for that, to go and bring the 30,000. So I started calling people one by one. My friends, tafadhali, unajua nimeenda mahali, nimedanganya. nina 30,000 nimeambiwa nilete, sasa nitafanyaje? How could someone earning 3,000 Kenya shillings have 30,000 to
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. So alhamdulillah, the only person who told me come for the 30,000 was now Sharif Abdurrahman Jamalul Lail.
No.
He told me go and come and get the money. So I took the money. I was now shaking. I've never touched 30,000 pamoja. Nikasema hii nikichukua nikitoka nje nitaangushwa. So he told me there's no problem. He took me a boda that time. So he took me all the way to Pembe. So when I entered Pembe, I was now shaking. Katoka na 30,000 yangu, nikaenda kwa mzee tena, nikaruhusiwa kuingia ndani kwa ofisi yake. When I entered the office, he told me where's the money. He didn't have any story. I told him here is the money, mzee. So he took the money, he counted us. I looked.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. So I didn't know what he was doing. When after taking the 30,000, he took the money, put it in the drawer, and then he took a checkbook, wrote a checkbook. As he wrote when he finished writing the checkbook, and he gave me the checkbook, it was written University of Nairobi. I started crying at his table. And then he asked me why I was crying. I told him I didn't believe it in my life that one day I'll go to university. That's what I told Mzee Salim Bajabir. He made dua for me, and I went to University of Nairobi. I thank God. I presented the check, and I was told, you come, because I was late. I joined class late, so I was told, you go to class. You'll come for your receipts and other things later. Those things.
Sorry to cut you short again.
Yes.
There's a phone call. Assalamu Alykuim. Sorry, umepotea tena.
Yes.
Sorry,
so the first day in university again, University of Nairobi, started crying. The first day I entered class, as soon as I sat down, now tears were flowing down continuously. And then the lecturer asked me, what's wrong, young man? I told him, I'm okay. He told me, you're not okay. Go to hospital. When you'll be okay, you come back. I didn't want to tell him my story. But the story I tell viewers is that I couldn't believe in any way that there's a day I will sit in class and in class at university. And of course, not any other university, but the University of Nairobi. Because the hardest university to get in this country is University of Nairobi. So I couldn't believe it, even me. You know, some people who don't know my story, they say that there are many people who believe that I bought the certificate. Even last year, someone threatened me and told me, I'll go and report you to NEC because we know you bought your certificate. And I was so happy. There's a time I attended the interview, JSC, Judicial Service Commission. That was Deputy Chief Kadi's position. And I remember they even asked me, how do you have this certificate if you were out for 10 years? They had to call NEC to ascertain that that is my certificate, and that's when I was so happy. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, tumempoteza huyo tena. There was a call on air, but tumempoteza tena. So, you had mentioned that your parents had passed away and you were an orphan. And that was why you had problems when it comes to high school and everything. So, there are many cases where parents die and leave the child an orphan, like your case. Or even there are some parents who are poor and they have no ability or capacity to help a child. So when is the right time to assist orphans, and how should this assistance occur? In your case, how would you have liked to be assisted?
Let me answer the question as you asked faster. The best time to assist any child is at the point where they need the assistance. So if we see any parent who is struggling taking their children to school, we should start assisting them at that particular time. To orphans, the best time to assist the orphans is from the time when their parents are sick. And if it was an accident where parents died in a tragic accident or in an emergency situation, then as soon as the parents are pronounced death, that is the time when we are supposed to assist these orphans. And that's why people who have seen me conducting funeral rituals, I always tell people in the grave that all those people who are related to this person must take care of the orphans from today. Because the problem is that we don't take care of the orphans. if the person, the deceased had money, everyone looks at what did this person have. So you realize that orphans whose parents are rich sometimes have no problem, because everyone wants them to be with them so that they can use and or have the money. But if your parents die and they're poor, no one will even want to touch you. You have to be taken to now an orphanage. This is the challenge. So my advice to everyone, let us start assisting the orphans as soon as the parents are dead. And that's what I have done in my lifetime.
Yeah. And like many orphans tend to keep quiet and get misused by their relatives when you know the parents have died.
Yes.
So how do you escape this? How did you escape this personally?
You know, the reason I escaped being mistreated by relatives when I was an orphan is because I was already attached to madrasa. So you see, as soon as I remember, unfortunately, Mambrui has very stringent laws and rules for students. If your parent is sick, they give you 3 days. The first day, the traveling day, then the day to see the sick person, and the third day you must be back. That is the rule of Mambrui. I don't know if things have changed. And if it is a matter of death, they give you 4 days. The first day to travel, the second day to bury, the fourth day to at least be there with people, then the fourth day you're supposed to be there. So when my mother was sick, very sick, I was called, and I was given only 3 days. I went, saw my mother, she was totally sick, and I wished that I stay with her, but I remember that I still want to go back to Mambrui, and the laws are very stringent. I asked my mom, this is the situation, what do I do? You know, she could hear me, but she could not talk. And I could see with her eyes telling me, you go and God will bless you, because I could read from the lips. And that's how I went back to Mambrui. As soon as I arrived in Mambrui, I found one of my uncles there, Ali Boyo in Mambrui, waiting for me. So he got information before me that my mother has passed on, because in Barabarani, and those times there were no phones, so that was the challenge. So when I saw him, nilishanga, why has he come and it's not visiting day? I thought something wrong has happened. And then even when I was called by Ustad Mutaman to go and meet him, he didn't tell me that my mother has passed on. All the way as we go to Malindi from Mambrui, he doesn't tell me my mother has passed on. He's just asking me, how is your mother? How did you leave him? When did you arrive? I told him I just arrived today, as you see. And it is when now he booked me a ticket to Nairobi. That's when he told me, ukifika nyumbani ambia watu pole. But he told me, you better pass by Mombasa and meet your uncle Faridi. So when I met my uncle Faridi, he's the one who gave me the information. By the time he's taking me to the bus sasa, he's the one telling me that pole sana, Mungu amweke mamako peponi, na hii ndio usaidizi wetu kwako. That's how I knew my mom is dead now by the time I'm in Mombasa. Yes.
Before we continue, Ramadhan Bwana amesema pongezi kwa kipindi. Shukran sana Ramadhan Bwana. And he's asking, there's some people who in the villages want to study the deen and they want to study the deen. What is your advice to them, to the people who want to study the deen and also become an imam or a ma'alim?
Yes, I must admit that the best knowledge anyone can get in this world is religious knowledge.
Naam.
You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Holy Quran, Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran, Khalaqa al-Insan, Allamahu al-Bayan. Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, Allama al-Quran, taught Quran, Khalaqa al-Insan, created human being. So you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings knowledge before even creation. Even when you go back to the first revelation to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, that read in the name of your Lord who created. When you look at Adam alayhi salam, the best he was given was knowledge first. Wa allama Adam al-asma' kullaha. So knowledge is the best, especially knowledge of Allah, and that's why in the book Zubad Matn Zubad, the author says that أول واجب على الإنسان معرفة الإله باستيقاظه. أول واجب على الإنسان, the first priority, obligation to any human being, ma'rifatul ilahi bisikhan, is to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala conclusively. So what I'm trying to say is that it is very important for people to go and learn religion, and anyone who want to learn religion, let them contact Al-Ghanaul Islamia in Mambrui, or even they can contact Kenya Institute of Foreign Languages and the professors here in Nairobi, and their numbers are 0710 462 063, because for the past 10 years, we have had a mentorship program for people who want to go to university, people who want to go to madrasa. What we are trying to say is that in Kenya Institute of Foreign Languages and Professional Studies, we have tried to at least solve all matters relating to education in this country. Those who want to go to the other universities globally, we assist them also. So I will advise someone, if you want to go to madrasa, to learn, first see your imam in your area, and then tell them to connect you to madrasas in Malindi, Lamu, Tanzania, Uganda, and other areas. And after that, then you can now proceed to do whatever you want to do. And what I've advised many madrasa students globally is that they don't only be contented with the madrasa certificate. Let them, after they finish, undertake KCPE and KCSE. Because when I finished my education and got my certificate, I remember giving my story in Kitui. There was Maulid in Kitui. When I gave the story, no one could believe what I was saying. And Sheikh Salim Ahmad, Salim bin Ahmad bin Taib Bajabir was so happy. He didn't know my story. He knew it in Maulid there. And he said that any madrasa teacher who want to advance in the education, they are ready to assist them. So out of that campaign which I did, almost 300 madrasa teachers currently have done KCPE and also Form 4 KCSE. As I speak, when we met Waziri Matiang'i some times back, we requested him to employ the Maalims
as an IRA teacher.
No, in Kenya prisons. Kenya prisons. And he employed 58.
Mashallah.
Almost 80% of those who were employed are people who did what I did. Those people who did KCPE and KCSE as private candidates. Even most of the Qadis who are there, the Qadis, almost 20 Qadis who are there, are Qadis who had only madrasa certificate. Then they sat for KCSE and then they progressed to where they are.
Mashallah.
Almost 20, and I know them.
Mashallah.
Yes.
You had, going back to the story about like being an orphan, apart from the orphan cases, I mean, what have you done as Dr. Hasan Kinyua by being an orphan? You know the pain that it carries. What have you done for other orphans who you know when you're in a position right now?
Yes, I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the things I've done is to initiate a mentorship program for orphans. And it is because of that where I met World Vision International, who took me to be their consultant, global consultant on child protection matters. Out of that, I've assisted many orphans. I've also tried to see how I can assist the orphans, sometimes by enlightening them on the best way forward and also fighting for their rights. And it is out of that where the urge to go and take a law degree came, so that at least I understand law better and start fighting for the rights of orphans. And every time I meet orphans, I try to assist them in whichever way I can. And if I cannot assist them myself, I always write for them letters to friends and relatives who at the end assist these orphans. Yes.
And like since time is almost up, is education a journey or a destination in your opinion?
According to me, education is a journey. It is not a destination. Because if you say education is a destination, I will not have gone back to school KCSE. I will not have gone to take KCSE if I had already finished madrasa. And you know, some people believe that if you have a madrasa certificate from Al-Ghanaul Islamia, then you are among the best in the society as far as religion is concerned. If education is a destination, I will not have gone for master's degree after our getting a bachelor's degree.
Yes.
If it was a destination, I could not have gone for PhD after getting master's
degree. Yes.
If it was a destination, I could not have gone for bachelor's in law.
No.
If I have a PhD.
Which you are currently studying, the bachelor's?
I've already finished my bachelor's in law.
No.
I've already finished ATP,
No.
the Advocates Training Program.
No.
Now I'm doing my pupillage at Abdurrahman Doli and Co-Advocates.
MashaAllah, may Allah make it easy for you.
Ameen.
And for the people who have lost hope, and they think that there's an age limit when it comes to going back to school, and even those who have lost hope to going back to school, what is the last remarks that you can tell them?
Education have no age limit.
No.
And you know, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, started receiving education from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he was 40.
40, yes.
Imam Ibn Hajar Asqalani, some say he began when he was 40 and he finished when he was 70. Some say he began when he was 70. So education has no age limit. And the best way to do when you are in education, you just have to humble yourself. Because you see, like my laws, Bachelor of Law degree, I was doing it with young children or young students in class because I was doing at the University of Nairobi. So what I'm trying to say is that education has no age limit. I call upon each and every person to pursue education because Prophet Muhammad told us, and that's actually the answer comes from Prophet Muhammad who told us that al-ilmu min al-mahdi ila al-lahdi. Education begins from when you are young to when you enter the grave. So if
it has no
limit. It has no age limit, it has no destination. The destination is when now you get in your grave. So you see, it's a journey.
So when it comes to the people who would like to go back to school, what is your advice on them? What would you tell them?
What I'll tell anyone who wants to go back to school, al-ilmu anfasu shay'in anta dhakhirhu. Knowledge is the most precious investment that you can have. Doesn't matter your age. Let us go back to school because that is the only way we will progress our lives, we will develop our community, and that is the only way we will make Islam be honored by other people and be respected, where we have especially the imams who can cover all other aspects of life.
And when it comes to those who among our ummah are financially blessed, they have the ability and the capacity to help others in promoting their education. What would you tell them? What is the importance of, first of all, helping an orphan who has no way to get money to get for their schooling, and also, you know, those children who come from poor backgrounds? What should you tell this person who is financially stable?
For everyone who's financially stable, please let us allocate at least 10 to 20% of our money, of our salaries, of our income, of our wealth to education. 10% for your education with your children and everyone, 10% for the poor. Why do that? Prophet Muhammad told us, إِذَا مَاتَ ابْنُ آدَمْ إِنْقَطَعَ عَمَلُهُ إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثٍ. Any human beings, wherever we die, anytime we die, إِنْقَطَعَ عَمَلُهُ, all our deeds are stopped. Illa min thalath, except for three things. Sadaqatun jariyah, a continuous sadaqah. Continuous sadaqah, education is one of them. Writing books is one of them. Funding education is one of them. Sadaqatun jariyah, building a mosque, and you know mosque is intended for learning. School, sadaqatun jariyah. Our ilmu yuntafa'u bihi, or education which is beneficial. You see, education is there. And then thirdly, and the last one, أو ولد صالح يدعو له, or a good child who prays for you. So I will call upon everyone who has their wealth and good money, and even those who don't have good money. I started dedicating 10% of my salary to education of other people since I got the job now after getting KCSE. I have increased this now to 25%. Because 10% is for me and my family, 15% is for other poor people. And inshallah, I will continue doing that till I meet my Lord, inshallah.
Inshallah. And that is all from us today. This is only the first part. There will be a second part, inshallah, maybe next Thursday, but we will communicate with you all. I hope you have learned a lot from today, and I hope whoever you are at home, if you are very interested in going back to school, if you are ambitious enough, Dr. Hasan Kinyua is a prime example of where ambition can take you. If you want to go back to school, you can go back to school. And that is all from me today. My name is Amal Latiff, and this was NASAHA kwa UMMA.